Hello. So today we're gonna go over it's kind of like not like the most interesting of games, but it's more like a concept and kind of how a lot of this patches feels like it's playing out. So what I'm gonna be going over this game, and I'm just gonna be playing Ashe Flex. Now, it's not like the best board. I don't go first this game, I go second, but it's just like a general concept of if you were like really used to the last patch. I think this video kind of illustrates what I kind of enjoy most about TFT and why I'm more so enjoying this patch than the previous patch. And that's the reason that you can play around flex positions and flex boards really easily. So what I mean by I say flex, usually you'll hear AD flex or AP flex. I'll open my inking app because it might be a little bit more useful to illustrate it on the screen and to write some notes. But I'll basically just be going over that, and I'll basically be going over my thought process with this game, and hopefully that's useful, right? Not the most flashy video. There are many more flashy videos, like I just released the Kabuko reroll guides and a lot of other reroll guides. If you like this content in general, just make sure to like and subscribe because it helps. And we have our sub goal, which isn't on the screen right now, but I'll put it up. Our RP giveaway at 200 YouTube subs, so we're almost there. I also don't have my that's fine. Alright, let's open up the inking app and I'll talk about stuff in general. But yeah, a lot of this patch there's a lot more playability. Like before, I felt like the previous patch was a very first or eighth. And based on like a lot of openers and positions, it was very hard to like, you know, if you didn't have fortune or you weren't like in a good spot with a strong opener go fast 9, you really needed to hit a reroll. And if you had neither of those two things, you're basically like guaranteed bot 4, it felt like in the lobby. But now things are a lot more open in the sense that there's a lot more that you can get stuck on level 8 and you can still play for a top 4 so long as you upgrade a lot of 4 costs, because there's a lot of things to play around, right? Which is very fun to me. Just getting everything opened up. Sorry, I'm doing this for those that don't know. I have art that I'm doing. I have a convention that I'm going to be presenting at, a gallery spot, so I've been working really hard on that. I actually just went to buy some stuff at the for my like some canvases, so I just came home, so I'm just a little bit tired, a little bit things are a little bit crazy. Okay, and then this, and now you guys should see on the screen the inking. Lovely. So what do I take here? So the best thing you can do when you're playing flex is just take combat augments, right? You don't have to necessarily take anything that's super duper forcing. This guy has fortune already, so it was a prismatic opener. Of my options, I just want to take something that was really strong for multiple units. Ashe scales off attack speed, and also Syndra does really well with attack speed, right? So a good thing that you can say is usually when you're playing flex, you usually go through like different things, right? A lot of times you say like AD flex, right? Or AP flex. You might hear these words, right? AD just meaning like attack damage, and then AP meaning ability power. So when you're saying that, usually what you do is you build generic items or you take generic augments, and then whichever unit you hit, like for example, you can swap between Kaisa and Ashe, right? Because a lot of their items are like their best items aren't exactly the same, but a lot of items are very similar for the both of them, right? Like Ashe does pretty well with Deathblade, and so does Kaisa. They both do really well with IE. They both do really well with Last Whisper, for example, right? And then AP flex, there isn't really much, but like you can think like Lilia. I know Azir is a 5 cost. I'm trying to talk about 4 costs in this video. Like Morgana, right? So like a lot of times you can build generic items and pick one of these units and then kind of go from there. Another way you can play flex is you can play like, I don't know what it is. It's I don't know how to just call it. It's like melee flex, or like like let's just call it melee flex, right? So like there's certain pairs of units that work really well together. So for example, you can have like, you probably have seen Silas Kaisa, right? You've seen stuff like you can go like Lilia, you can go like for example, I'm trying to think, like Lee Sin Lilia, you can go like Kayn, Morgana, And the idea is that you have some sort of backline carry as well as a frontline carry. And basically you separate your items by making, like, for example, you'll make like a Deathblade of Titans, which can work on any of the melee units, and then you'll make, like, if you have AP items, you'll make an AP backline. If you have AD items, you'll make an AD backline. You kind of flex around it that way. That's my thought process going into this. So I don't have direction, but in my head, I took pumping up, right? What pumping up is good for, right? You can also mix and match, right? Like, you can flex your AD backline and AP backline. So pumping up, who scales off attack speed, right? I'll write that a little bit neater, right? So when I take a prismatic pump up, I'm basically playing around probably either Ashe, Syndra, and then also like things like Ghostly works pretty well, so like Kayn, Morgana. But Ashe Syndra is a really interesting board because you can fit in really nicely because it ties nicely together with the faded units. That's my general thought process, right? I'm either going to do AP flex, AD flex. I have a red buff to slam, so I'm just going to make probably what I'm thinking of is like an AD backline and then something else, right? I do have like a Shojin and like some AP because like Ashe isn't really going to use a mana item, so that's either going to turn into a frontline item or something else. And I'm just trying to play like a generically strong board, if that makes sense. I'm holding on to this Tristana and Duelist just because I'm trying to make it to the level to level 8 basically. I'm just going to roll pretty deep on 8. Pumping up is a scaling augment, so I do want to make it to late game. Now, the thing that works really well, I'll talk about Ashe in general, because the main focus with pumping up is you usually want to play towards Ashe and then flex the other units, right? You can flex your front line, you can flex a melee in there, you can flex another backline AP, but you need like this core of Ashe. Ashe, she is Porcelain and Warden. Porcelain and Sniper. Right? The thing about Porcelain is that in the middle of the game, you only need it. It's only really a 2 trait, and Sniper is also really a 2 trait. You're never really playing 4 Porcelain or 4 Sniper in your mid game because you won't be able to get there, right? Here I tech in Fortune. I'm trying to put Fortune in mid game, not to get like a Giga Fortune cash out and transition from Fortune, but basically if I just like, you know, I'm already losing battles because I'm not that strong and I'm a scaling augment, so long as I get some kind of cash out, I'll be pretty happy. But anyways, because Ashe has two traits, right? She's very easy to flex around because you can basically just play Ashe plus Lux, or you can play Ashe plus Amumu, right? And if you're playing like Ashe Lux, you can make a board that's like Ashe Lux, Aphelios, right? Aphelios is Sniper, and then Syndra, and then you have Arcanist, Porcelain, and Sniper as like a group package. You can play Ashe with Amumu, and then you have Warden, and then you can play Set and Syndra, and you could play it like that way. Lysandra is also Arcanist and Porcelain, so you can swap out the Lux for Lysandra if you high roll into a Lysandra. Lysandra is one of those units where she seems very like play for first if you have a Lysandra early. Like if you have a Lysandra early, not only can she farm you components, which puts you in a spot to play for first, she also can remove the biggest tank from the opponent, which is also extremely strong late game. So you really like to have it's always good to play around fitting a Lysandra into your board as well if you haven't already been doing that this patch. It just works out a lot better now because more people are playing towards 4 cost. The tempo of the lobby is slightly slower, right? Some people are greeting more to go 9 if they roll slightly on 8. There's not as many people sending it to 0 and chewing away at your health. So playing around, so thinking long-term game plans for 5 costs is a lot more viable now, if that makes sense. Anyways, red buff is fine on Ashe. Usually you put Gwynsu on Ashe because you want Ashe to like stack a bunch of attack speed. I'll show what her BIS items is right now, so we'll pull up the stats because we always love to look at stats in this house. So we'll go Ashe. I'm not gonna show like a board because I think that flexing around the traits is really important, so I don't want to give you guys like these are the best items to make and blah blah blah, right? So we'll put craftable. I'll put the sample size to 1k just so it's a little bit better. But as we can see here, oh wait, we should wait for Augment first. So we'll look at Augment and then we'll decide what to do. Okay, so let's watch Augment choice. So Baboom, I don't know if it's still bugged because it didn't say that they bug fixed it, but it used to be bugged on Aphelios, so people would always take it with Faded. There's Radiant Relics, Freaky Friday, and Penetrable Bulwark. So Penetrable Bulwark was interesting. Trash to Treasure is a little bit risky because I already have a red buff, which I think is pretty good. So instead, I would take Radiant Relics, and I hit a Radiant Last Whisper. It's either Demon Slayer or Eternal Whisper. I just take the Eternal Whisper because this is like a really strong component, but a really strong item for Ashe in general, Last Whisper. But the Radiant version is also really good because I'm missing Shred, and now I don't have to worry about it, right? I have no Shred components, and I don't want to worry about having to make it later. Now I have all my utility dealt with. I have Anti-Heal with red buff, and I have the Last Whisper. I can also flex and play Kaisa from this spot, right? It's not set in stone that I'm playing Ashe for sure, but I do have good flexible items. Now, just to go back to like what I was talking about, that you make generic-ish items. You don't make like something like a Gwinsu is a lot more forcing, but it's a lot better on Ashe, but it is more forcing in general. Okay, so let's open up the stats. So these are craftable items. Static Shiv, I think it just works like for like a really cap late game board. I don't think it's like giga insane on Ashe in particular, but I think it just works really well, and the same with like QSS. But as you can see, it's like Runan's Last Whisper and Gwinsu being like one of the most popular ones, are usually like her best items. If you go to Radiant items, so it says Radiant Gwinsu, like the Demon Slayer is up there, but there's not much data. I could maybe lower it a little bit, go by Delta. See, Last Whisper is somewhere here. It's just with a lot fewer games. So when I looked at this in Demon Slayer, I figured that the Radiant Last Whisper was a little bit better. If I had the options of these ones, obviously, like this red buff item is fucking broken. It's so good, right? But that's like the general idea. In terms of like the team builder, we can go to the team builder real fast, right? So let's just say I play Ashe. Like a generic Ashe board is something like Ashe, Syndra. Let's find a Y. Syndra. I could actually just go Faded probably. Thresh, Aphelios. Something like this with a Lux. And then a Mumu. Something like this. Right, and then, well, I guess it wouldn't be Thresh. Let's just do like the proper version, which would be a Set up here, right? It would be something along the lines of this, right? Where you have a Faded trio in the form of Set, Syndra, and Aphelios. You have Ashe and Aphelios, which give you Sniper, and then you can play the Lux and the Amumu, and then, you know, like in your max cap board, you'll also have Lysandra in here. But as you can see, you have a lot of open space, right? You can play like, you can literally just play like another frontline pair, right? Like you can literally just play like Ornn and like some behemoth, let's just say this guy, right? Like you have a lot of wiggle room, because this is like, even talking like here, like even if we remove the extra units, right? Like you have like a really nice core with a very small amount of units, right? You don't even need to play towards Faded and Syndra, because there's other options you could also play, right? Like you can play like a Lilia backline, for example. I know it sounds kind of crazy. You can play like an Azir backline, for example. I could probably show you like what I mean by that. Here, I'll show you. This one sounds a little bit crazy, but it's actually really strong. Here, I'll switch tab to this is Dish Soap and Froden's TFT website. It's called TFT Academy. You could just Google it and look it up. It shows you like the top comps, and they update it every couple hours. So this update as of 8 hours ago. Here's an example of Ashe Flush with Lilia. I haven't been able to try it out in the game, but basically because you have so many free open spots, if you make it to 9, you can just play Ashe, Kog'Maw, Lilia. So Kog'Maw is the sniper that ties you into Lilia and Azir, and you just play like 4 Invoker because this is fucking strong. Azir and Lysandra are also really strong, and it works really well because the Arcana is giving the buff to all of your AP units. Works really well. There's like the Faded, just like you play Ashe with Aphelios if you want to carry Aphelios in this case. I don't know where it's just raw Ashe carry. That used to be on here, but it's not really I think they removed it, maybe in light of this one. That's just the better version of the board. But the version that I used to play is just like what's it called? Like this. You play this, then you play like Shen, Alawi. This is your board on level 7/8, right? and it's perfect synergies, right? It's 3 Faded, 2 Arcanist, 2 Behemoth, 2 Ghostly, 2 Porcelain, 2 Sniper, 2 Warden, right? It does give you like you know, there's some wiggle room that you can get a little bit better, but this is like the core board, and then you're just positioning Ashe on the opposite side of the opponent's carries, and the Aphelios always close to the Ashe because Aphelios gives shred, so you usually play him next to her, just in case you don't have you didn't build a shred component, which isn't a problem in my particular case, but just something to take note of. So we kind of skipped over stage 3. There wasn't much that changed with my board. I kind of tried to did I cash out Fortune? I should actually go back and see if I actually got a Fortune cash out. I think I kind of gave up on Fortune because I ended up just winning a bunch of fights. Yeah, as you can see, I just kind of streaked and won all my fights, so my Fortune cash out is just 0. I'm okay with that. Whenever I play Fortune, it's really hard to play Fortune in some lobbies where some people in the lobby are really, really strong and some people are really, really weak. So because in this lobby, there's like a huge disparity, right? Like if you look at my board, it doesn't look that strong. Oh, sorry, there was an encounter. I should have, ooh, I didn't show the encounter. There was an encounter that gave a radiant item. That's how I got 2 radiant items. So I got this radiant item, which was my last whisper. And then as I was going over the stats, we had another encounter that gave the other radiant item, which is right here. So here I just pushed my luck because I have a 0 cash out. I'm not going to get anything. So I just pushed it just in case I keep Fortune in over the next stage. So here I just instantly get decent enough items, right? So it's Radiant IE. I don't want to roll it because Radiant IE was the other really good item. I'm not going to like search for Radiant Gwinsu in this case because I have pumping up, right? Gwinsu is good because of the attack speed scaling on Ashe, but I have pumping up, which is my prismatic augment, which gives me a bunch of attack speed, and then I have a bunch of starting attack speed from the Radiant Last Whisper and the Radiant the red buff, just the normal red buff, right? Also, I've kind of got out of the habit of it. If you ever hear me accidentally on stream or in video say Sundergun, Sundergun is what I used to call Last Whisper because it sunders the opponent. Sunder is the reduced armor term, so I used to call it Sundergun. If you do hear that, or if you think it's funny and you would like me to bring it back, I would gladly use it. I have to actively, in my head, turn that switch off so that I don't get a bunch of comments calling me an idiot, but that's okay. So now what we're gonna do is I'm probably just gonna go. I'm a little bit broke this game, to be honest. So I might try. I think I'm gonna delay my roll down. This game didn't work out that great. I streaked all of stage 3, but my stage 2 was really awkward. I also didn't get the Fortune cash out to compensate for me losing like most of stage 2 and all, or like win lose stage 2. And I'm just winning a lot of fights because I have these radiant items that puts me a little bit higher in terms of like strength relative to my opponents. But yeah, if you look at my items, I do have like good melee items, right? You can look at my thing. I have so many bows, so I'm gonna definitely reforge bows at one point. I'm level 760 gold. I just leveled this turn because it's an important turn to level, and I'm just trying to think, okay, so what should I do here? I just reforge one of the bows. I get another tier, so I'm like, this is looking a little bit awkward for me. Because I don't really have tank items, right? I do have the redemption. I killed 1 tier with a redemption already, but I have so many AD items. So what I'm doing here now, this is why flexing around these units is really good and having generic items is good. I'm just gonna have a melee carry, right? When I was talking about like, okay, you can play Ashe Syndra, you can play Ashe with a front line, you can play Ashe with like pretty much any front line. Like, there's a lot of open spots, especially when you make it to level 9, but that also applies in the other board. You don't have to play that perfect synergy faded sniper Ashe version of the board. It's not necessarily the best version even in this case, right? So I make melee items because I'm like, whatever 4-cost melee I hit, I will play. If I hit a Kayn, I will play a Kayn. If I hit a Sylas, I will play a Sylas. If I hit Lee Sin, I'll play a Lee Sin. Because the Ashe is very close that I just need like 1 sniper, Ashe does a bunch of damage. 1 porcelain, Ashe does even more damage. That's all I need to fit in, right? So I can either play Lux, Amumu, or whoever. Like, I don't really care. So in my shop, there's a Sylas. I was thinking I should send it later. I just send it now because I have a win streak already, right? If you look at me, I'm 7 gold. I didn't buy the Syndra there. At first, I wasn't thinking about making Syndra items. You'll see later that I end up making it. What do I hit? I hit a Sylas 2. I have an Ornn pair. There's a Kayn, but I already hit Sylas too, so I'm probably not going to play Kayn. I see the Kai'Sa. I'm kind of debating if I fit in the Kai'Sa or not. I was holding on to this. Okay, I do fit it in. See, I was holding on to this for a while, and this is what I mean by I'm playing flexible, right? All of a sudden, I'm in a Bruiser Kai'Sa setup. Is this the best Bruiser Kai'Sa setup? No. Was my transition a bit fumbly? Yes, I fumbled a little bit right here. Mind you, this guy looks like he's weak. He's actually extremely strong because he has this augment. I don't what the tiny one, so his units just look smaller. So just keep that in mind. So I fit in the trick shot, but that's what I was saying. You just hold a trick shot on your bench. I'm holding a sniper on my bench as well, right? Look at this. Sniper on my bench. I held the Sivir, the trick shot on my bench the whole time, right? Why? Because if I hit Kai'Sa, I'll flex and play Kai'Sa. Even though I'm talking about this game in terms of Ashe, I do have one Ashe that I hit at one point. So I'm just kind of debating. I'm rolling really deep on 8. This is something you usually couldn't do, right? So this game, I was preserving my streak. I wasn't the most rich, but I don't want to like die. I want to use this HP as a resource. So I'm rolling really deep here because I'm trying to like find at least one more unit pair. I have Sylas. I'm paired on Ornn. I can also switch in Nautilus. I'm still playing this dude, right? So I'm just trying to like get a little bit of an upgrade. I should probably just buy this Syndra and play towards Faded, which I think I'll figure out this turn potentially. Nautilus is really strong, and you should always play around Nautilus because he's one of the best stun units in the game right now. This guy is just so fucking strong, right? Because he has a list with a TG already. But as you can see, Kai'Sa, I feel like Kai'Sa doesn't do that much damage anymore, right? The last fight, it was a little bit, I was playing against a stronger board, so it's a little bit difficult. But look at this Ashe dude. I have an Ashe 1. She just fucking cleaned up shop, right? I think Ashe, compared to Kai'Sa is really good if you hit 4 trick shot with a Xayah, right? 4 trick shot with a Xayah, Kai'Sa is very strong, right? It feels kind of like the disco board. I know that's like a meme, but a lot of times people like talk about these 4 cost comps where you have to make it to 9 as being like a disco board because that's how disco worked last set. That's how Kai'Sa feels. It's like if you get stuck on 8 and you don't have like a Xayah, you typically fall really far behind now because of all the nerfs that board got, which is fine. Ashe is like much more reliable at 1 star. So switching to the Ashe from the Kai'Sa, I know I'm a bit more contested with Ashe, so hopefully it works out, but we'll see what happens. But anyways, this is one of the best things about the patch is that like I'm in a spot now where I'm rolling pretty deep on level 8, right? I also have I think my last augment I didn't say what it was. It was Know Your Enemy, by the way. So I want to fit in like a flex board with more traits. So right now these units are doing kind of nothing for me. So I'm looking to eventually replace them. And he's just really strong as a unit in general. I roll deep. I hit this Ornn. So now I feel like I'm pretty stable. I fit in the Syndra. I should just switch out this for Syndra. I switch out the Ashe and I try and whatever. It's fine, right? But I'm 3 sniper because I have just this upgraded unit. I can fit in like an Arcanist or a Porcelain, which is what I'm looking for. So my board will probably be complete with like a Lux or a Lissandra, but then I can also play the Amumu and just take the Porcelain, right? But as you can see, a lot of the people in the lobby, they're pretty broke. They're all rolling on 8. So we're all in like the same situation, more or less. But me, I flexed around this Sylas. So my Sylas is 1 carry. As you can see, he's living. He's spinning his little stick around, or his whatever you call it, his fucking chain. And he's doing a lot of damage. Like, he's helping out the front line actively, and I'm working as a unit pair, right? I have 2 separate carries, and I might eventually have 3 separate carries, right? Even though I'm on level 8, I'm playing around multiple units, right? If I didn't have Syndra, I can play towards Lilia and somebody else. If I didn't have Sylas, I could play towards Kayn, right? Because the only thing that I need to switch if I have Kayn on the board is I just put in either a Ghostly unit or I put in a Reaper, right? Probably a Reaper, right? Anyways, I find Syndra too. So this is what I was saying. I'm still rolling because I just feel like I'm relatively weak compared to the lobby. What I want to do is I want to set myself up to be able to go 9. So I use the rest of my items. I just make a it might have been Shojin. If I'd made Shojin, it was Guinsoo. But I already have like an attack speed unit, so it might have been Guinsoo with pumping up on the Syndra. Either way. So I think that was a little bit of a misdo with my items, but I figured in my head that like whatever, I just need to slam stuff. So I made Giant Slayer first, and I said, oopsie, I was supposed to make Shojin, right? Just to give her a mana item, but then I just made Archangels. This guy is very strong. He's tiny but deadly, Heavenly Crown, And Martyr, like, he's just fucking strong as shit. He's the highest health in the lobby. But now I'm relatively strong, is what I would say. Right? I do have this useless Annie. I still need to find a Lux, right? I'm pretty sure there's a Lux reroller in this lobby, unless this that was a separate game that I was thinking of. But I should make Econ here, and now I'm going to try and go 9. So I pair the Thresh with the Syndra, so that my Syndra gains some items. I don't really have frontline items, but that's fine. I'm kind of going on the full damage route, and I'm hoping that eventually I can complete some frontline items. Here, if I have the option, I'll make an item for Syndra, but I don't really have a Syndra item. It's probably Spark on Silas, or thing on Silas, like some tank item, right? Just to have my front line a little bit stronger. I don't know why I'm rolling here. I think I'm rolling for Ashe. Yeah, this is where I could probably sit, right? The reason you sit on this level now, it might just be because of the last game. So this game I'm rolling a little bit aggressively, a little bit too much, I would say, right? I just switch in that. It's actually switching. I forgot. I didn't notice that I had a Lux already. So it's definitely the Lux in to give Porcelain to my Ashe. What happened the previous game, or I think 2 games ago, was I waited to go 9 with a 1-cost carry. And then by the time I went 9, everybody bought out. Everybody was deep rolling on level 8, and they bought out all the 4 costs. This guy's very strong. He's Dryad +1. And he has like Kindred 3, Gnar 3 that he just hit, and Aatrox 3. So I think I'm just rolling super aggressively because I want to hit like the Ashe 2, and I kind of resolve that I'm not going to go 9. This is how you chew away your own placements, right? If you're not paired, right? I'm not Ashe paired, right? I have 1 Ashe. Now I'm Ashe paired, right? You shouldn't really be rolling here unless you're paired with your units, right? If you're not paired with your units, there's no need to roll because you have to roll so much, right? You're so far away. You should only roll when you're rolling for unit pairs, right? So I'm rolling really deep here. The main reason is because I went sick the previous game because I just couldn't find my upgraded unit, right? So I think I kind of resolved myself to I want to make sure that I guarantee this as a top 4. So that's, I would say this part is a little bit incorrect. I guess it's like circumstantial, but I would say that if you're not paired with a unit, I shouldn't be rolling here. I should just be trying to level. Because I can always swap out the Ashe for somebody else. Like I can always swap it out for like an Irelia, for example, even though it's like Last Whisper isn't necessarily good. I hit the Ashe now, so now I'm definitely not going to roll anymore, right? Also, notice my front line, right? This isn't the greatest thing ever, right? But the Dryad stacks, they matter a little bit, right? I'm also know your enemy, so having the extra trade-in actually matters a little bit, right? Know your enemy is that you do extra damage if someone else has that trade-in. So especially against the Gnar player. I guess the Gnar player I still have a different, right? I have, do I have anything that I share with the Gnar player? I think I share Behemoth maybe with the Gnar player, so it doesn't actually matter. But it is important to note that it's multifaceted, right? But basically I want a Bruiser for Silas. But this is what I mean by making a flex board, right? I just played around this Ornn that I had this Ornn really early. I had this Silas really early. And I had the Rek'Sai really early. I'm just kind of playing around these units as a front line. And it might not be the best board, right? I don't think you can look at my board and say, holy fuck, he's going straight to 9. He's going first. But it's a very reliable board, right? And as you can see, even though I like maybe trolled, I could have gone 9. I could have capped my board a little bit higher. I took a very safe route and just like demon rolled for this Ashe to make sure that I had an Ashe 2. Because I know that if I hit Ashe 2 with this board, it's a guaranteed top 4, right? That's what I'm thinking, right? There's obviously a risk, even though I have a lot of HP, and I would still top 4 with like without the Ashe 2, right? If I made it to level 9 and I put in like some legendary unit, I would probably be good. I'd probably be like pretty strong, right? I take Edge of Night. I just put on the Silas. It's not the best item on Silas because you want Silas to kind of be like a frontline unit. So if he just disappears like Edge of Night, it's not the same as like the other guy. Anyways, as you can see, there's one guy who has a Faded +1. He's 7 Faded with a Felios 3, Thresh 3, and a Lysandra. So that guy's fucking scary. I don't think I'm ever going to beat that guy. But I'm pretty sure I'm stronger than most of the rest of the lobby now, right? I took the Silas item because I felt like the Silas was just more impactful to have like a front line because I have such a strong back line. Now remember this Dryad guy, how he like absolutely beat the shit out of me a couple turns ago? Now I have Ashe 2. Look how much damage I do. I have double Radiant item Ashe 2. This shit's gonna fucking slap. Look at this. He has Radiant items everywhere. He has a Radiant item on his Gnar. Fuck that. This Ashe unit's busted. I think Ashe is very, very strong. She probably will get nerfed by the next patch. I think most people that are playing AD are trying to play towards Ashe. So it's very hotly contested. But I don't think she's like overwhelmingly broken. Like if someone hits an Ashe, they guarantee win the game. Because I think that there's lots of play around with like making a good board, right? Having an Ashe doesn't matter as much as like having a good entire board, right? I have fully upgraded front line. I have faded in. So my no item, what's his name? Thresh is also pretty tanky. I have damage in the form of the Silas, the Syndra, and the Ashe, right? And like I said, like I showed you the website, you can play a board that's similar build, but with Lilia instead. You can play, instead of Ashe, you can play Kai'Sa and somebody else, right? Kai'Sa, usually your backline just ends up being the 4 backline units, just be the 4 trick shot units, right? So it's a little bit more forcing. But as you can see here, this one's going to be a tough fight just because there's so much armor and HP to chew through. My Ashe still might be able to like take a fight here, but I don't think I can outcap this guy because this guy's already, I think, level 9 and he has a Lissandra too. But as you can see, the fight's pretty close, right? I think I actually win this one. Yeah, I win this one. The problem is, this is what I was saying before, where I threw away some placement. I might have been able to outplace this guy if I played a little bit greedier, and instead of rolling on 8 so deeply, I saved some of that econ. Because if I saved that econ for 2-3 rounds, I would definitely be like, I'd be like 70 gold right now, approximately, right? I would say I wasted 20 gold plus the interest. I'd be at 70 gold right now. If I was 70 gold right now, I'd be level 9 next turn with like 30 or 40 gold. I might lose 1 or 2 fights that were kind of close. So I'd probably be like maybe like 20 HP, maybe 15 HP. Let's say 15 HP. So I'd be 15 HP, 70 gold. Plus the neutral gold, I'd be like 100 gold right now, right? Because you earn around like 20 gold off the dragon. I'm trying to pick an item. Honestly, I should just fuck it, red buff. Another red buff might be good. Even another redemption might be good. I kind of wanted a frontline item, but I didn't hit it. So I just put attack speed on Syndra because, you know, attack speed is almost as good as mana. But as you can see here, I'd probably be like another 30 gold more to roll on level 9, right? I pair these to give me more frontline because I don't think the Syndra extra damage matters that much. Just to give the Thresh a little bit more shield with the Yasuo. I do want to fit in, like, you know, ideally 4 Porcelain on level 9, something like that. Switch this dude for Lissandra, this Lux, right? The problem is the guy that is the strongest in the lobby, in my opinion, is the Faded guy, and he has just way more units, right? So as you can see, I rolled really deep. I could have econned and then rolled, right? I could have stayed on. I could have done the same strat. I would have had more gold. I could have went to 9 and then roll. But as you can see, even this guy still beats me, right? So it's that's what I mean by, like, it's starting to turn into a patch where it doesn't feel bad to roll deep on 8, right? And that's what I really like about the game. I like the option of, fuck it, I'll just get a top 4 here because there is too much variance in this game. There are too many people that are really strong that I would rather just guarantee a top 4. And that's how I kind of played the game. And that's what you can kind of do when you're playing these flex boards, right? As long as you hit your units. But if you're playing flexibly, right, like, you know, I didn't play that flex around the Kai'Sa, but especially with like the frontline carry and the Syndra and that whole part of the board, I was kind of open to anything, right? My shop had like a bunch of Syndras, so I said, fuck it, I'll make the Syndra. I made AP items and I'm good, right? Now I'm at the point where this guy has outscaled me. I don't know, I think he hit some extra upgrades, and it's just like, now it's just like not even close, right? This is against the clone, and I think I still lose against the clone, maybe. No, I just narrowly win against the clone, right? So, yeah, you know, it is what it is. The other problem is that, like, in order to cap my board, the biggest things I can use to cap my board if I'm playing around this Ashe are units that the other guy is holding, because he's basically playing Faded Snipers, and I'm playing, like, the same board except Flex, right? As you can see, I don't have all Faded units, and I'm not playing around Aphelios Syndra. Instead, I'm playing Ashe carry, and I have, like, a bunch of garbage on my board, right? I still have this Rek'Sai in. The Rek'Sai might not be as strong anymore. I put in this guy for Umbral just because I feel like it might help out the Silas a little bit, giving him an execute, right? So it kind of works to that nature. I wish instead of know your enemy, I had the stand united. Like this is one of those boards. Like what's great when you play around Ashe and you play these flex boards, like as you can see on the left hand side, everything is a 2 trait, right? Like this is one of those boards that it would be insane with stand united. If you've ever seen stand united, what stand united is, it's like you do more damage based on what traits you have in. Playing around these Ashe boards with like these 2 traits, it's so easy to fit in so many, right? And even though they're like 2 traits and some of them are meaningless, having them just stacking with different abilities, it's a lot better than having vertical in a lot of cases. Now this guy just sucks because I hate it when people do this. Like we all know he's gonna take the porcelain emblem. Like he's just fucking taunting it until I go for it, right? So sometimes I try and juke them. That's what I was trying to do there. I was trying to juke him. But it was just like, bro, like what are you doing? Just take the fucking item, right? It's not like the thing is, like, it would make sense if he was like debating between taking something else, but porcelain emblem is probably the best thing he could have on his board because it also gives him 4 porcelain, which also means that like I'm definitely not beating him anymore, right? Which kind of sucks, but is what it is. I don't have the set 2 either, right? I hit the set and set wasn't good enough for like the other guy's holding set, the other guy's holding Lysandra, like he's playing them on his board. So yeah, it's just rough. I just won't be able to beat him. As you can see here, I'm just gonna get railed. Like this set just gonna do so much damage. Lysandra's gonna teapot everybody, right? He has so many things. Like it's like kind of close, but then like all of a sudden my front line collapses and then it's not close, right? I just die. But that's okay. This is a very strong second, right? If I wanted to play for first, I would have to like giga greed, right? I would have to greed to be able to go 9 to roll with a lot of gold. And judging by the way the other guy is playing Snipers Faded, what I would have had to do is on level 9, I would have to pivot to like a full legendary board, right? I would probably have to pivot to like Irelia carry with like a Hui or a Azir, and like full pivot my board and not play any Ashe, any snipers because it was too contested, and play like just all 5 costs, right? In order to do that, you just need so much gold, and because I rolled so aggressively to make sure I had the HP to survive, that's the trade-off, right? But I took the more guaranteed route, right? So rolling deep on 8 and is something you can do in this patch, right? Because now the 4 costs are viable. This is not something you could do last patch, because if you tried to roll on 8 and do what I did, you just go 8th anyways. So you kind of would always have to greed to go 9, and then hopefully you hit on 9, and it was just miserable. But this is like a great example of a game where it's like, pick a strong 5 cost, pick strong combat augments. Even if you wreck your econ a little bit, like I know it's like kind of a mistake and I pointed it out, you can still roll really deep and hit something strong, right? And that's like the main idea that I wanted to present with this video, and hopefully that's somewhat useful. And you could play like a similar Ashe board with a similar concept, right? Play Ashe Kayn, play Kai'Sa Kayn, play Kai'Sa Silas, right? As long as you have like a strong enough board. And if it wasn't like a prismatic lobby where the boards were swaying so strongly, like that the boards were so wildly insane, you can even like just go straight to 9 from where I was here, right? Like I'll skip to like this point. Like I have Silas 2 Ashe 1. From this point, I can just sell my bench, econ up, and go straight to 9, right? This is a strong enough board to go 9 in most lobbies, right? And I have 73 HP, so I could have like played a whole stage. But it's just risky, right? Because like people, like especially like with prismatic, it kind of makes like this huge variance of like some boards being insanely strong. So that's why I decided to just, because I had lost a game previously doing just that. I went to 9, then I just didn't hit anything, and it was kind of miserable. Like I even had like a Xayah, so I was thinking like, do I go back to Kai'Sa now that I have Xayah? But it was fine. I just ended up just playing like this. My aggressive strat preserved me the HP that made me guarantee into a 2nd place, right? Because I think the other guy was probably stronger than me in the final 3, but it just worked out that I had more HP to work with, right? So that's just the general idea. Anyways, thank you for watching, and hopefully there's some more exciting videos later this week. I'll be playing a lot.